Greetings, Dr. T, Tucson Functional Medicine. This is another one in our ongoing series of the testing that a functional medicine doctor does. We get asked all the time, why does my functional medicine doctor run different tests from my traditional doctor? And it's because we're looking for different things. The medical doctor is running tests trying to find disease and treat disease. The functional medicine doctor is looking at the function of the system. So we're looking at the cause of the problems and hopefully prevent the disease from ever happening in the first place. So we need both systems, right? We need the medical system so that it will keep us alive, right? But we have a lot of people that are alive and just wish they weren't because their quality of life is so bad. And so the functional medicine is really kind of filling a niche about the quality of life. We want you to not only be alive, because our medicine doesn't matter at all if you're not alive, but what we want is we want your quality of life to be great. Now, if you've been here before and you've already subscribed to our channel, welcome back. If this is your first time here or you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to please subscribe. We are updating our YouTube channel all the time now and a lot of information. And then there's a little bell icon next to the buttons for hit the subscribe. And if you click that, you'll be sent a message, a notification every time that we upload something into the onto our YouTube channel. So the other thing is on my website, TucsonFunctionalMedicine.com, we have a menu at the top, and one of the menus is About Us. And if you click on that, another little menu will drop down, and in it is Dr. T's teaching schedule. We do webinars every single month, and we've got them all planned for the rest of the year. This year is currently 2020, depending upon when you're watching this. And we've scheduled the whole year. And so if you see a topic that you're interested in, right below the topic will be a little link. Click on that and you can register for the webinar. And you don't even have to be there. If you register for the webinar because it's a topic that you are interested in and you can't be there, that's fine. What we will do is we will send you a link to the replay. Okay, so I register for lots of webinars that I don't have time to do at their time frame, but they send me the link and then I watch it when I can. So if you're interested in it, go ahead and register. Like I say, we will send you the link for the replay. Secondly, we have created in our clinic a discovery appointment. And what that is a free appointment for about 30 minutes that allows you to see if functional medicine is a good fit for you. You shouldn't be paying money to find out that it isn't a good fit for you. We're hearing a lot right now is in the coronavirus, the COVID-19 thing. So people are staying home. So functional medicine has been using telemed for a long time, years, but the traditional medical model never really did that. So we're starting to hear about this on the news and everything else because people are staying home. They're sheltering so they don't get this coronavirus. And so we're able to now see you. We use a program called Zoom. There's several different programs out there. We just use Zoom. I think it's the easiest one to use, and lots of people know how to use it. And so it's easy, but we can actually, on that discovery appointment, on my website in that top menu, one of the options is, one of the pull down menus is book an appointment. And you can go in there and you can book that discovery appointment for no cost to you. And you can do it if you live in Tucson, you can do it inside the office if you'd like to, or it doesn't matter where you live. If you'd like to book it, you can book a Zoom call. It's one of the options in there. And then we just do it on the internet. We're using Zoom right now to record this little presentation on the GI MAT test today. And so you're no longer necessary to live in the same city as the doctors. I have patients all over the United States. I have patients all over the world. So the point about this whole thing is you can now get functional medicine regardless of where you are, where you live, where you are. Is there anybody in your town that offers functional medicine? If there isn't, schedule that discovery appointment. Let's get together, spend a little bit of time talking and see if this is a good fit for you. If it is, we want to help you. If it isn't, then we need to know that. But we don't want you to have to spend money to find that out. So on the website, Tucson Functional Medicine, go into book an appointment. You can book a discovery appointment either through Zoom or in the office, whatever works best for you. So here we go. Today, we're going to communicate about the GI MAT. This is the large intestines test. And we're doing a series on all the tests that we do. So with 60% of Americans having a chronic disease, people are wasting more and more time in doctors' waiting rooms. Tucson Functional Medicine offers health programs to get to the cause of your health issue. So you can spend less time in waiting rooms and more time enjoying the quality of life that you deserve. Life is not really worth living unless you have the quality of life, right? So if you have all the money in the world and you don't have your quality of life, what do you have? You spend all your money trying to get your health back. So you spend all your time waiting in doctor's waiting room. Now this graphic at the top was done by the CDC. It was done several years ago. So the numbers could actually be worse, but 6 out of 10 people have a chronic disease. 4 out of 10 people have 2 or more chronic diseases. So they're saying that we're spending $3.3 trillion every year on healthcare. We're now spending, and it's 2020, we're now spending $4.7 trillion a year on healthcare. So the actual chronic disease numbers might be higher too, because that number's pretty out of date. So we approach the body from a 3-body system. The body breaks down in this process. We rebuild it in this process. So the neuroendocrine is the master system. This is the system that tells everything else how to do its job. Neuro is brain, endocrine, as an example, would be the pituitary. And so that system tells the GI system, right? Hippocrates said all disease begins in the gut. I do believe that. But if you don't build the foundation of the system that tells the GI how to do everything, we're not going to get any results. And then we work on the detoxification system. So 90% of the time, 95%, this is our path that we follow. Every once in a while, we get somebody that we kind of switch this around a little bit. I have a lady going through chemo right now. We started with detox for her, try to get that chemo out of her body so that it doesn't sit in there and do, cause neuropathy and all the different things that chemo can cause. So we do change it, but 95% of the time, this is the order that we use. So what is testing? Testing is just the body's way of telling us what's going on the inside. There are 2 things that know more about you than anyone else on the surface of the earth. One is you. You know more about you than I could ever know. So we actually spend the time with you to have you tell us what's going on. You know what's going on. You're living in that body. Well, the other thing is the body. It won't lie to us. The body just tells us, this is where I am today. And once we get that information, then we can then treat whatever the body tells us is going on. So that's all the testing is. So we run a bunch of tests. This particular, and most functional medicine doctors run these tests. There are maybe some other ones that other doctors run, but this is kind of the core that most of them do. And we're doing a whole series now on each one of the tests. This one is about the GI map, okay? This is a stool test, but they're using DNA markers to locate the stuff in the test, in the stool, I mean. And so this is kind of a new way of looking at it. We're finding stuff, looking for the DNA that we never found with more traditional stool tests. And so that one, it just seems to be getting us more information. And the more information we have about you, the better we can help you. We're only as good as our testing and as good as our ability to listen to you. So understanding, there's a legend, okay, understanding the GI map test. There is these right here, less than DL. That means below the detectable level. This is on the test, but most people just don't see this. And here's greater than DL. This is above the detectable level. So this is, it's so low that we can't even detect what's there. It is so high that we can't detect where it actually is. Then there are numbers in red, and then there are numbers in yellow. The red means it's above the reference range. Yellow means it's below the reference range. So we break the test down into 3 sections, okay? Section 1 is the normal bacterial flora. So now there's only one lab currently that runs this test called Diagnostic Solutions. And so these page numbers and where it is going, if you have a GI map test, yours will be on these page numbers. We don't have any other companies. So currently this normal bacterial flora, it's on page 2 at the bottom of that page. The second section is intestinal health. How are the different parts of your digestion system actually working? This is on the bottom of page 4. Section 3 is the things we don't want. We don't want these things in our digestive tract. This makes up the majority of the test, but this is all of page 1, the top of page 2, the whole page 3, and the top of page 4. And we're going to go through each one of these sections here to kind of go in a little bit more detail. But that's how the test, that's how we personally break the test down. I don't know how other functional medicine doctors do, but we're always looking for systems. So we want to look at what should be there. want to look at what's supposed to be doing the work, and then we want to look at what should not be there at all. So section 1, this is the bacteria that you should have in your digestive system, okay? These are the bacteria that you need. These are the bacteria that should be there. So what's the problem? Either the bacteria there's too much of it, or the bacteria that's there's not enough of it. So what we need in this is kind of that microbiome, but we need a balance, right? So we need to have a balance of all of them so they're working together. And if we get one that overgrows, then it can screw up the way that our system works, or one that isn't enough of it. So this is the bacteria that should be there. This is what should be there. And the only problem we have is if there's too much or too little of it. So let's look at that part of the test real quick. So you'll see here, this is the normal bacteria flora. So you should have all these in your system, okay? And here we have a yellow one, so it's low. Here we have a red one, it's high. Here we have another yellow one, it's low. So what this is saying is all of these should be within the reference range, and we have 2 that are low, Clostridia and Bacteroides. These 2 are low. And Akkermansia municiphylla, I guess is how you would pronounce that. This one's too high. So we'd want to lower this one and raise these other 2. So we have that balance. Everything needs to be in balance in this part of the test. So these bugs should be in you. And in this case, we have 1 that there's too much and 2 that there's not enough. And that's what we look at this first section of the test. Section 2. This tells us how the different parts of your digestive system are working. So here's a couple examples. We'll show that to you. Steatocrit is the marker telling us how the gallbladder is doing its job. Elastase is the marker telling us how the pancreas is doing the job. So let me show you that section of the test. So here you'll see it says intestinal health. So these are the things, the actual parts of the system that should be working correctly to allow that digestion to go on. So here we have steatocrit, right? So this is telling us about the gallbladder, and this is high, right? We would like it to be below 15. This is at 17. So it's not crazy high, but it still shouldn't be high. So what this is telling us is our gallbladder is not working efficiently in that part. And what does the gallbladder do? The gallbladder holds bile. And what is bile used for? The emulsifying and the breakdown of fat. So this gallbladder isn't working correctly. That's what steatocrit is telling us. Elastase, which is the pancreas, that one's doing okay. So here's the GI markers, right? We have, is there blood in the stool? No. Immune response, secretory IgA. This is the body's first line defense to kill off stuff that comes into the system that shouldn't be there. So if this number was low, what this would be telling us is you might get more flus and more colds and more stuff like that because your first line of defense to kill all that stuff is not working optimally. And we want to build that up because we want you to be a healing machine. This test shows it's okay. Here is inflammation. Calprotectin is an inflammation marker inside the body, okay? And in the November of 2019 section of the AARP bulletin, they actually are now talking about how inflammation is underlying all chronic disease. Now, natural doctors have been talking about that for decades, but the medical world is just starting to connect that dot in this part. And this is a marker that's huge telling us about inflammation. That's an add-on test. We don't always run this test, but it's zonulin. We're going to talk about that one here in a second. So section 3 is these are the bad guys. These are guys we don't want in our digestive tract at all. These are the pathogens, the parasites, the viruses. H. pylori is the bacterial infection that grows ulcers about 80% of the time. Opportunistic bacteria, these are guys that are just kind of hanging out, waiting for the opportunity to come get you. Yeast, funguses, virus, parasites, worms. We want nothing in this section. We don't want any of this stuff to be in our digestive tract at all. So let's look at this. This is a section. See, this one is pathogens. So here's bacterial, and this is less than detectable level. And so that's what we want in all these, right? We don't want any of this stuff because none of this stuff should be in our digestive tract anyway. So every one of these would be perfect if it was less than DL. Norovirus. We've got a high one here. So this is a viral pathogen. And on this particular test, we want it to be below 1, and we're at 5.59. So that's really high, okay? And it's 5.59 to E exponent of 9. And this is 1.00 to the exponent of 7. So this is really high. And so this would be one. It shouldn't be there. We should not have that test or that bug, that virus. And so since we have it, this is what the test tells us. We've got a bug that we shouldn't have. So what do? We got to kill it. We got to get rid of it. Zonulin, that was that add-on test that we were talking about a couple minutes ago. That's this one right down here, okay? And this is in the year 2000, Dr. Alessio Fasano, who's a medical doctor. He's a pediatric doctor. I believe he's a pediatric doctor back east. And he actually discovered zonulin. And zonulin is the official marker of leaky gut. So when I teach this, what is leaky gut? I look at it like a garden hose with people take an ice pick to, right? And so what it's doing is my hose was leaking. Well, the gut's no different. If we have holes in the gut, things that shouldn't be leaking out into the bloodstream are actually leaking out. We do have a test for this. According to the research, they're saying 90 to 95% of Americans, probably the world, but Americans have leaky gut. So a lot of times we don't even run this test. It's an added cost and almost everybody has it anyway. So we just treat it. There's 3 parts to healing your digestive system. The first thing that we have to do is plug the holes. We don't want a leaky gut. The second thing is we need to kill everything that's in there that shouldn't be in there. The third part is we need to rebuild that microbiome, right? That's the normal gut flora. Those are the things that should be there. What we do when we treat off the internet or we listen to some friend who said, oh, you need to eat, get the probiotics and all that kind of, and I'm not against that, but the problem is if you got holes in the gut or you got bugs that shouldn't be there, you can work on the microbiome till the cows come home and you're never going to get the health that you want because you haven't built the foundation. The first thing we got to do is plug the holes. We don't need any holes, no leaky gut. Then we got to kill everything that's in there that shouldn't be in there. Then we got to rebuild the systems actually working optimally. And that's what this test tells us. A lot of that stuff tells us what's in there that shouldn't be, tells us how the system is working itself, and then tells us about the flora that should be there, the bacteria that should be there. Is it in balance? That's what this tells us. So hopefully I've helped you understand a little bit of this test called a GI map test. A little bit newer technology than the way we used to do stool tests. So this is looking, as we've told you earlier, the DNA of the actual bacteria or whatever we're looking for. So we seem to be picking up more stuff with this test than we were picking up with just the standard stool test. So we moved to this. We just seem to be able to help more patients because we can get more detail about the information that's going on inside the digestive tract, in this case, the large intestines predominantly.